Controlling the frame like Muhammad Ali or any master of a frame control is no easy task. It takes a lot before you can make people respect you without the need to be aggressive. And by the end of this video you will find 5 steps you can follow to replicate the exact same level of a frame control in your conversations and any social situations. As you may know, the initial name of Muhammad Ali, before he was Muhammad Ali, was Cassius Clay. And he wanted to change his name because he said, I don't have a white man's name. It was during the whole time where black people were persecuted much more than today, way more than today. And he wanted to change his name and was disagreeing with anybody trying to impose on him conditions he didn't opt for. And on top of that, he was kind of fighting against the idea of the Vietnam War. He refused to be inducted in the United States Armed Forces to go fight in Vietnam, and it was provoking a massive problematic press for people from the government who wanted to send more people in war. He was kind of holding the frame against that.
Cassius is not my name no more.
You want to keep calling me a white man's name? I'm not white.
Continues to scream at Terrell.
He beat the hell out of those who didn't want to use his name.
Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
I'm just about broke. I'm not allowed to work here now in America.
My intention is to box to win a clean fight. But in war, the intention is to kill, and continue killing innocent people.
If we get to the essence of a frame control, which here is demonstrated into extreme things like social movements, rebellious attempts to change the world's view or the people's view, it is pretty impressive and intense to hold the frame in press conferences, in debates, in front of huge audiences. And the big thing to understand is that if somebody is always having the edge over you, it means your frame is weaker than theirs. What I mean by weaker is that you just have less understanding, less convictions, less facts maybe to argue about your theory, your political views, your philosophical views, all of that. And you have much less certainty about what you are talking about. Maybe you're just less educated than the person in front of you. So we are going to see how to develop that. And first of all, let's see how Muhammad Ali is demonstrating those frame control skills in a real scenario.
I'm asking you if you apologize for the unpatriotic remarks that you made.
I'm not apologizing for nothing like that because I don't have to. I'm just apologizing for what I said to the newspapers and to the press.
If I recall correctly, you said you were the people's champion?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that you're acting like a people's champion?
Yes, sir.
If we get at the root of the sleight of mouth chart, which is a brilliant way of explaining frame control, what's happening here is that the prosecutor or the attorney, the person in front of him, is explaining that you said what you said, all the words you used, all the philosophical or political views you have against the war specifically are unpatriotic remarks, and they are really causing a lot of harm and damage into people. And when you are fighting against government views like that, it may be pretty tricky to hold the frame without going into jail. We have a more recent example of that of some bold guy you may know about. But from a purely linguistic perspective, and that is a great example to follow if you want to develop your skills in that art that is frame control, what we can see here is basically a model of the world perspective, where he said, those are the words of the people's champion, of somebody who is fighting for people. So basically he is indeed stuck. And he has to make amends and he has to apologize because you just don't get away in front of the whole government when you have such a massive media presence and you are advancing such arguments and such ideas against the government. However, he's still maintaining the frame by explaining that even if he went too far, and he's acknowledging that he went too far. At some point when you are facing a life sentence in jail, it may be difficult to keep arguing forever. But even if he went too far on this matter, that doesn't mean either that he was wrong. And that is the big impressive frame control ability here with this model of the world thinking. My model of the world is that what I did had nothing wrong, you disagree with it and I went too far, okay, but still I am not going to change my perspective and I am not going to shift my political views, my philosophical views just because you said I'm wrong. And in my opinion, the most brilliant aspect of this is that he's still maintaining it without being aggressive. aggressive. Most people we see today, when they want to change a perspective in the media or whatever, they are doing it through aggressive, either verbal violence or literally physical violence, which I think is the least effective way, because when you attack with violence, you are just provoking a violent response on the opposite side. Whereas when you can use words with such abilities without being aggressive, without insulting the people in front of you, that is provoking much more change into people's perspective, into people's minds, than if you are violently aggressing people, like we see so many people in the media right now. You are just provoking much better changes throughout history when you can persuade people with simple words by maintaining your frame without yelling at each other. That is creating much more influence in your social situations and even political situations, maybe, depending on who is around you and depending on the context, it is more complex. But just this skill is too many times, I think, downplayed how effective it is to be able to speak like that. So if you want to develop your skills with frame control, here are 5 easy steps to develop that, not pretending you will be like him and not pretending what he did was only good, because I wouldn't personally put myself in a situation where I may face a life sentence in jail. Whatever you want to do it with your own life, but just on the purely frame control, linguistic, some kind of personal development perspective, what is very interesting to learn from that, I think, is to start by selecting a topic you frequently argue about or argue upon into your life, your daily life. Who are the people you frequently argue with, and what is the overall topic you are arguing about? Then what is it that people say that usually gets you speechless? When you think you are not being listened to, when you think people are trying to downplay your skills at work, or when people are just dragging you down in a very disrespectful way, basically, what do they say? What is the kind of things they say? Because the things they say is their model of the world. If you don't thoroughly understand what is their model of the world, if you don't study, educate yourself about it, you will never really know what to answer specifically. Then what are your exact views on that topic? If you disagree with people, just saying, oh, I disagree, you're not going to convince anybody by just refuting without giving any facts, any philosophical points of views, anything like that. So the more thoroughly you investigate a topic for yourself, and the stronger your frame can be held. If you just say brutally to people, oh, you're wrong, no one is really going to be changed, and you're not going to bring any help to anybody in the world. Maybe eventually you will unload your own anger by yelling at people, oh, you disagree, I disagree, you're wrong. But people will never change if you have such immature ways of communicating. So better articulate, study what is the reason why you think like that. And what would people think themselves if they were agreeing with you already? What would they think deeply, thoroughly inside their own head? What is the deeper belief they would have that you now need to plant into their head if you want to control the frame? Investigating yourself even more thoroughly, why do you have those views specifically? Which facts, historical point of views, details from your personal life or the life of people you have met, maybe in your really private circle, or more generally, stories you have read about, and wider worldview, which facts or which wider worldview can you attach your perspective to? Can you attach it to some philosophical background, to some religious background, eventually, to some historical background? How can you attach your points of view to something bigger than yourself? That is the main component here, something bigger than yourself. That is why stories are so effective also, because whenever you say something in your own name, like if I tell you right now what to believe into, I'm just a normal dude with a few subscribers on YouTube, I'm nobody. But if I start telling a story of Muhammad Ali, like right here for example, suddenly a part of your brain is going to shift automatically, because I am quoting a source of authority or somebody who has more authority than I do. And if I quote a philosophical background or a religious background, something wider than just me or one single person, you are much more likely to listen to what I have to say and to maybe not obey, but at least shift your perspective slightly on the matters at hand. And finally, the most difficult aspect, I know, is to be patient and let people speak. Like you can see here in court with Muhammad Ali, He's not trying to stop the judge or the prosecutor from speaking. He's letting them speak. And actually, you gotta need to let them speak, because in those situations, you may get to jail faster if you don't. Even without such a difficult situation, let people speak, because they will never accept your point of view if you don't thoroughly listen to theirs. Subscribe if you have enjoyed, and I will see you very soon for other frame control or conversational hypnosis or any kind of sleight of mouth videos.